Good morning, good morning. It is now 6:28 a.m. Been up for about maybe 30 minutes now. Not even. I've been up since like 5:45. And I just want to share with you that a dream that I had. It was so much, and my heart is still kind of racing from it, that I just felt the Lord pressing on my heart, like, go and record it. Because I was gonna record this later, but like, no, get up and go record it while it's still like fresh and hot, and while you're still feeling the emotions from the dream. So I'll just get right into it. In this dream, I was with my aunt and my sister and a friend of mine. We'll call her Ashley. And we were on our way to some event or something, but I wasn't fully clothed. Maybe I was like sleeping in the dream or tired. But before we got to the event, my aunt wanted to make a pit stop to return a book. And she had pulled up into the store and pulled me to the side of my entrance. And she's like, okay, go ahead and go do it. And I was irritated by her asking me to do it because I was resting or something. And I got out the car just angrily and frustrated, like whatever. And I went to return the book and fill out the card and everything, just making a mess as I'm pulling the cards out to fill out my name and stuff and return address. And was giving the book back to the guy, and he said, okay, like, I'll take care of it, I'll handle it or whatever. And when I turn around, I see that the car is gone, but my aunt had, made a U-turn so we can still go in the right direction. So she pulled around, and I see the car up front. And we were somehow in a store as well. So I see my friend Ashley like playing with some drum set or whatever. She's just like minding her own business, doing whatever she's doing. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and I was like, where's my sister? She's like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, but your aunt, like, she went to the bathroom or something. So she's just playing. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, we were in a rush. So I go and look in the car, and I see my sister's clothes in the back seat. I'm like, why would she leave and not take her clothes with her? And in that moment, I had already had an idea of what just happened. I was kind of scared already. It started to be, like, I started to just be a little shaken up. So I grabbed her clothes, and I was like, okay, it's her sweater and her jeans. All right, I think I know what just happened. Okay, maybe she just had something underneath and took it out, trying to give myself the benefit of the doubt, but I kind of already knew. And at that point, Ashley was next to me, and in my head, I was like, if I shake the clothes and jewelry falls down to the ground, I already know what time it is. So I shook it. Her gold hoops, I fell to the floor, her bracelets, and in that moment, fear just took over me, and I was just like, I can't believe this just happened. Mind you, my friend Ashley was just still kind of confused, like, what? Like, bro, what? And I was like, where's my aunt? Where did you say she go? She's like, she went to the bathroom. And I was like, I knew my aunt wasn't coming back. And we somehow turned up to be in a mall. So I ran over to the rail, and I look over the rail, and I see just chaos. I see clothes, piles of clothes, like randomly scattered around, like people had disappeared. People just running around frantically. People stealing stuff from shopping stores with clothes and just running out. And I see confusion. I said, okay, all right, that's enough. And somehow my dream, like, instantly, like, turned into like a military accountability scene. And it was now later in the evening. So I knew I needed to head downstairs. I was still in the mall somehow, but I knew I needed to head downstairs to the room to be accounted for. So as I entered, I had on my uniform, and there was people already sitting in this room, this dark room with like the news playing in the background. And there's this airman sitting there with this stack of papers, and he looks at me. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his face, but he looks at me and mockingly was like, oh, I thought you were supposed to be on the list. You should have been on the list. Why aren't you on the list? Talking in regards to the Lamb's Book of Life, the book that our names will be in once we give our lives to Christ. And is sealed and marked in that book, and that is our gateway to heaven, along with other things. But him jokingly saying that I didn't have any words, and I'm just trying to grab the papers from him as he's like waving it in my face. I had no words to say. I was confused. I was still upset and shocked. Like, why didn't I get raptured into heaven? And I knew it was because of I had some dirt in my heart, some unforgiveness. But I said, wow, like I really was held back from that. Like, just still shocked, right? Like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, it happened so quick. Like, I was upset in that moment and had anger towards my aunt and just frustration towards my sister. But 5 minutes or less, like that was a little too long to hold on to that, it seemed like. So because the rapture just happened like that. And I got the papers from him, and it was kind of sectioned off. I guess it was like the whole base just sectioned off by squadrons, and we had to find our name from our squadron and check in. If we were still on this earth, we got to check in and sign in by our name. So as I'm looking for my name or somewhere to sign, I asked him, I was like, do you know what happened? Do you know like this event that just took place? And he's like, no. And I said, it's the rapture. Like, God came back for his bride. He came back for the church and the people, and they are now in heaven with Christ, and now we are all left behind. And as I was talking, he cut me off. He was like, oh yeah. He's like, you know, my uncle, you know, he was talking about the rapture or something, but you know, I didn't really pay him no mind. Like, I don't know. And I saw a line forming behind me as I was filling out the paper. So I had just signed and gave it back to him, and I went and sat by my lonesome in a corner, just on the floor, Indian style, just looking at everybody around me. And in that moment, I was trying to wake up, right? I said, maybe I'm still dreaming. Wake up. Try to wake up. And every time I tried, no, I was still sitting there. So I was like, dang, this is really my life. This is really happening. Like, wow, Lord, like, I'm sorry. But it was too late in that moment to say sorry, right? Like, I couldn't get raptured up in that moment. So I'm sitting there just watching people check in. And then all of a sudden, I see familiar faces too. I see familiar faces. Some just had no regard. Like, they didn't really care. Like, oh, someone playing pool. Just weird. And some sitting down just eating snacks, like, okay, like, I'm just trying to get accounted for so I can just go back home. No, like, do you not know what's going on right now? So one of the doctors that I personally know, he had just started to facilitate everything in the talk as the news was playing in the background. He's like, all right, you know, I just want to get an idea, like, how are people feeling? Like, what do you think is gonna, you know, happen from this? And one airman was like, well, you know, we jump back. We're able to jump back from anything, and we are so, whatever word she used, I can't remember, but, you know, we'll be okay, you know. And people are shaking their head in agreement. Normally me, I'm a quiet one. I normally don't even speak up in meetings at all or anything, but I was so stirred up, and I just felt like words come out of me, just projectile, like, ah. So I was like, there's no way we're going back to a normal. There's never going to be a normal again. You see how we're still wearing these masks? There's no going back. I said, there's no people that are going, the people that were raptured up, the people that had disappeared, they're not coming back. Like, there's no going back to a normal. What are you talking about? Do you see the disaster going on outside right now? Do you see people still looting and shooting and killing each other? There's no going back. It's only going to get worse from here. But I had saw a light in my dream, right? And that light, it was so bright, and I was just, and then everything changed, and I was like, but there's hope. There's still maybe a second chance. Like, although God came and already took his bride, there's still a chance for us to get things right, get our hearts right with God. And before things really turn into destruction and disaster completely, and this earth is wiped out, we have another chance to enter into the kingdom. But it was, as I was talking, I was slowly like drifting away and away and away. And then I had woke up. And when I woke up, boy, I was, for one, very excited that it was just a dream. And two, like, dang, that was so real. That dream was so real. Like, the faces, the feelings, the emotions, the things that I saw, the faces that I saw that I knew who weren't following Christ and weren't believers and living, you know, doing their own thing. But the one thing that scared me was like, why was I left behind, Lord? And I began to cry, and I was praying, and the Lord told me I represented many Christians who play that Christian role, right? Because that guy who had the papers for accountability check, that airman who knew me, but I didn't know him, and he's like, oh, you were supposed to be in the list, why aren't you on the list? He knew me because I was somebody who represented a Christian, right? Who would share with the gospel with people and play Christian, you know, I don't do this, and holy am I, and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of Christians do that. They go to church on Sundays, you know, check that off, you know, oh, I volunteer, you know, I give to the homeless and do this and that. But their heart isn't right, because it's a heart thing, y'all. So if your heart isn't right with God and you have bitterness and unforgiveness towards someone, in that dream, I had anger in my heart still, which is why I did not get raptured up. So that was brought to my attention. Like, you cannot have any kind of impurity. Like, you need to let God fully cleanse your heart, your life, and let him restore and give you a new clean one. So that was a wake-up call, you know, to me and to all Christians, you know, all Christians who are still holding on to something that will hold you back, that will hold you back from entering the kingdom. And that was so real, like so real. Like, I just can't believe it. I would have still been sleeping, but he was like, no, like, get up and go record this now while it's fresh. So just a reminder, you know, the Bible says God will come like a thief in the night. That was so quick. That was so quick. I went into the store to return the book, and next thing you know, everything had just taken place. People gone. People disappeared. So this is just not to, you know, cause you to have any fear or anything, but just a wake-up call, because it was a wake-up call, a wake-up dream for me, for sure. You know, get your life, get your heart right. Ask God to examine your heart and bring up, you know, what the things that may not be of him, the things that you have probably just dug and buried away and sealed it. No, we need to do a full examination and ask God to show you the things that are not of him, the things that you need to work on, people that you need to forgive, maybe grudges that you're holding on to. Let it go, because it's not worth it. And ask him. The only way we can get over it and work through these issues is if we allow God to work through our hearts and allow him to examine us. And then, okay, you have full control. Work on me, Lord. Give me a new heart, transplant, something, because it's not worth what's to come. Okay, holding on to somebody who may have done you wrong, stole your boyfriend or girlfriend, that ain't worth what's to come, the destruction and chaos. So whatever the case may be, or promotion, you didn't get chosen for this and now you have some resentment towards your leadership or whatever, it ain't worth it. So just be encouraged. If you don't fully understand, like what I was saying, like in the Bible, God talks about the last days and the rapture, and God will come back for his bride one day, which is the church, and he will take them back up to heaven, and things are going to go downhill from there. And we don't want to be on earth for that. But luckily, in the dream I was sharing, there is another chance. If you so happen to find yourself left behind, there is still one more chance for you to make it into the kingdom. But those are times you're not going to want to be living in anyway. So my advice is to get right now. Get right with God now. No tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised. Get right with him now. Okay? Love you all. And hopefully when you watch this and hear these words, you know, God will just work on you in his own way. That is my prayer for anybody who watches this video. Be blessed. And I'm going to try to go back to sleep. Maybe. I don't know. But, mwah.